Okay, everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you different ways to do a lasso for your Western performance, Western arena classes. And so we'll just kind of start with some ideas as far as materials. I have, so this is pearl thread, and you could probably just use this, right? It might need to be like wetted so that it will coil up. Right, because that would be something you'd coil up, and then you would create a, and I'll show you how to do that, a holder for that on the horn once it's rolled up, and it's got a nice look for a lasso. It's a little, it's not very stiff, but that's a possibility. Something that's a little bit stiffer. This is a bedspread weight yarn. Okay, so this is for making like doilies and lace. I believe this is a 3, and then the 5, or this is a 5. Well, there's a thicker one that I don't have, but this is also very lasso-like, a little bit thinner than this, and this is a little bit stiffer, so when I go to coil it, it's going to look more like a lasso, right? So that's 2. Another thing that I have is this braiding cord, and this would work really well, except it's too stiff. So you've got 3 levels of stiffness, and this is really actually kind of wimpy. I mean, this is actually pretty stiff compared to the pearl. But any of them would work as long as they're in like that rawhide color. So we can go ahead and do each of these. I'm going to show you if you find this braiding cord. I picked it up at Walmart. As far as length, I'm going to do 17 inches. And like I said, I'm going to start with my braiding cord. So I'm going to go 17 inches and go ahead and cut that off. I could do 17 inches of each of these. So we'll do one of each. Pretty much they're all going to be the same. I'll just do this real quick and show you the different ways to treat with the different materials so that you still kind of get the look you're going for. And it depends upon how you're going to do it. Now, one of these I'm going to show you how to do it if you want an action rope, right? One that actually is in the air and will somewhat hold its shape. I'm going to show you how to put basically wire inside it. And here we go. So we got our 3 different types here. Okay, now basically every lasso at one end has a loop, and so you can do just about any loop you want, but you want to make sure it's a small knot, all right? And trying to not have the shadows, not working real well. So we gonna go ahead and just start with this wimpy stuff here. So it's simple enough to make a knot. Now, in reality, what you do is you would splice. So if you've ever done any type of boating, they would take and unthread these or untwist these and then sew them in. And that would work. The loop needs to be relatively small, but it still needs to be workable. So we're going to go for, something like that there. So I could go ahead and knot it, but usually when you knot this much, it's just going to be too much. I'm going to just quickly glue it together. And then we're gonna, we'll just do a wrap. And I've done yarn wraps before, so I'll show you how to, just using the same yarn, we're just gonna do a couple wraps. And then give it the look as if it is, actually been spliced. I had, when I was younger, I did sailing classes. My father got us a chance when we were in our teens to go sailing, and one of the things that we had to learn how to do was splice rope and make knots. That's all part of the sailor thing. So most knots are just too big. So for this particular piece, so I'm just doing what I usually do. I'm just going to do 2 wraps. I'm not even cutting it off of the thing yet. So 1. So splicing is kind of cool if you learn how to do it. It's just kind of time consuming in small scale because there's no guarantee with this yarn it'll even hold. So it's so wimpy. The marine stuff is really tightly woven. Okay, so now I have myself a loop, and I'll go ahead and trim this off, and we'll go ahead and trim this off. Now we have to treat the other end. So basically I'm just going to fold it over and glue it. Again, you would splice it if it was real and there was more than, and it was a little bit more realistic, but we're going to just give it a blunt end, and that's what it would have, would be a blunt end. And you can look up pictures of, nice little extra, so you can look up pictures of lassos, and then it sticks through the hole, and there you have is your lasso. And then in reality they would go ahead and, I guess it would be small like this, and this would be good for if it's just going to be on the horn, because it'll lay flat really well, right? So you do like that, okay? And that would be your lasso, right? And that's a nice little easy to make accessory. Let's say you wanted to, though, make it so that it actually stuck to, was on the saddle. So what they do, and I've seen this, and this is kind of a little thick, but I'm just going to take some scrap leather, and we're going to go to, it's about, I'm going to say that's 1/8 of an inch. It's like I'm cutting this about 1/4. And we don't need that long. I'll go ahead and get my ruler out, and we'll just verify my, sorry, it's trying really hard here to get rid of those. They're not working, are they? All right. So we're going to go ahead and just cut this. What we need, and I'm eyeballing it, but we need about, maybe about that much. So how much is that? Yeah, that's about right. So I'll just go ahead and cut that off, and then I'll just get a ruler and we'll take a look. So according to the ruler, it's 1/8 of an inch, which I was right, and then it is about 2.5 inches long. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to split one end. I shouldn't do this on my marble because it'll kill my blade, but I'm just going to split an end. Split this end. And make sure, yep, there's a good split. And then we'll do a split on the other end. And basically what it is, which is why this is just a simple accessory. You go ahead and put your loop in here like this, and then these just fit right on the horn. So we could dye the other end. One thing I do want to do is I want to round this so it doesn't look like it's, that's better. And so I had the horn of a saddle. So these two straps here, these would open up and they would just go right on the horn. All right, so if he wanted to get out his lasso, he would only have to pull one off the horn. Okay, so that's your strap that would hold it onto your saddle. Okay, so we'll talk about this. Is that braided stuff, and this stuff here is it's actually pretty stiff because it has a core. This is braided around a core, and so what I try to do with this is kind of mash it until I think you can see, if you can see now, this is a core. It's a different color. See that? It's a different color, and so I'm going to try to force those other threads out of the way, and then I want to grip that core. And yeah, there's a trick to it. You have to make sure you only have the center. So it can take a few attempts. Come on, baby. All right. Get in there. It's usually easier than this. That's not all of it, is it? Yeah, it is. Okay. So we don't want to go that way. We want to go this way. And then we have enough of this. So I'm going to just start working it out of the center. And just pull, pull, pull. And just keep doing it. It's easier. All right. So we can just throw this thread here, this center away. And then you'll notice once I pull out the center, it's a lot more pliable, right? So now pretty much I'll do, I'm going to do the same thing I did to the other one. Don't know how much you want to watch this, but instead of doing a fold over, because this is the way it's braided, I'm just going to blunt the end by putting glue on it. And then while it's wet, just kind of sculpt it a little bit. And that'll keep it from unraveling. And then on this side, it's going to be, again, basically the same thing as we did on the other one. So we're going to find how small a loop we want. I think I'll go a little smaller on this one than I did on the other one. And we'll glue these together. You can probably make these, even more realistic, but it's just a prop. So you want it to have a good resemblance to what it's supposed to be. And then I'm gonna use oh, it's almost the same color. Yeah, I gotta find something to do the wrap with. So I'm gonna use the same stuff, and because it's so stiff, I was looking for Skyber leather the other day, and I can't find anybody who has it calling it Skyber. They're just calling it 1 ounce or less leather. So thought I'd tell people that, because usually I go and I buy what I need for quite a while, and then I don't look for it again. And found a place up in Canada that is selling something that is thin enough that qualifies as a vegetable tan Skyber, but they want as much in shipping as they do for the actual skin. So that wasn't going to work for me. And the price on the skin was good, just that the shipping was going to make it not affordable. So so now that we got something there, we're gonna go ahead and do our wraps. I just wanted the two. Then once I'm pretty sure I've got it, then just go ahead and put a little bit more glue on there and do a little bit of sculpting to it. You know, roll it in my fingers. And yes, that would be, it's like rolling clay, that's all. And then there. So see what that looks like. See why I like this stuff. It's really very versatile. So, okay. Now, again, it's this end in, and then you wrap this end first. It's about 2 fingers worth. And then like that, and now we have our lasso, right? And this will lay flatter without that center coil. And it's got enough stiffness that I think this is a better, a better look. But, if this is what you have, at least you have something that's got, a semblance of what it is. But this one actually works better. Now, the other thing is, let's say you want to do an action one. And that means you need it to kind of have a shape in the air. And I did this for a rope and release for the last show I went to, which was quite a while ago. But it worked really well because I wanted the zigzag. And so what I did is I just have this wire. Now I'm using this because it's thin, and if I'm going to wrap it around this wire, it's going to be as thick as this wire. So I need something that's not too thick, but at least it's strong, all right? And I think this is going to work for me here. So I'm going to take out about 17 inches worth. And I've got the length of my string here, so I want to match the length of that string. And almost have enough. So we've got one more out. I think I'll cut it right about needs to be cut right about there. Right, so that's aside. And so the trick is going to be we have to untwist it and then wrap it around. So I like to try and start at one. I've also used there's string that let's see if I can show how to do this. I'm going to zoom in a little, like basting string. If you're desperate, it's a little thick, but it's available. But Pearl Floss, you can get it at a craft store. This bedspread weight cotton you can get at a craft store. But you see what I'm going to do? So I'm going to untwist it. Where are you? Untwist. And once you get it started, it gets pretty easy. And it should retwist itself around the wire because it wants to be twisted. So we're just going to see if we can, there we go, untwist. And all right, so that's the beginnings, right? And just to help it, I am going to glue. And I'm going to glue it twisted. So, oops. So this is very much like what I did with that Bozell. I'm sorry, with that, I did a tie down. And with the tie down, we kind of did this, but I did it with a pearl floss, with just embroidery thread. This is a lot tighter. The twist is a lot tighter, so you'll have to, you know, untwist it a little bit better. And you just kind of see how I'm untwisting it, and then I wrap it around. And then it should want to naturally retwist onto your wire. So untwist, wrap it, see, untwist. Once I got the strands, and there's like 3 or 4 strands. And I'm just going to keep doing that. Every once in a while, you know, I'm going to pull it tight, and then and I'm going to glue it in place. I'm going to lose some of this length doing this. Nothing I can do, you know, that's just part of it. But I'm not going to make you watch the whole entire way, but I'm just going to keep twisting this and getting it wrapped around this wire. And then once I do that, I'll show you how to do the ends on this. And shouldn't take me all that long to do this, but you never know, so you shouldn't have to watch it. But I'm hoping you can see what I'm doing. Twist it open, wrap it. I twist it open, wrap it. And then it'll want to rewrap and look like it'll still have that, you know, multi-strand look of a lasso. All right, so I will be back. Okay, so this is the last little bit on this one, and I had to cut extra. It was I'd say cut 3 times the length of your wire. And if you wanted to do something like trick riding, or not trick riding, that roper trick riding, where the guy stands on the horse and then he spins the lasso around the horse, this is the way you would do it. And you would figure out how long you needed it to go all the way around your horse up to where the guy's holding it, right? That's what you would use for that action shot, is this wire covered in thread. So I got this end done here. I haven't cut off the extra yet because I want to go ahead and make my loop for my lasso, right? And I don't want it a closed loop, so you'll see I'm trying to actually make it an open loop. And then kind of, I've seen some more modern lassos that actually have metal instead of the rawhide for where the rope goes. I mean, so you can, there's different ones out there. But this one here seems to work really well, and you don't need to type special parts or anything for this. It's just wire and yarn. And so I'm going to take this extra that's left over here, and I'm going to wrap it in order to give this a finished look, and wrap it around that exposed piece of wire too. You shouldn't have that much left over, so it just gets to be in the way. All right, so it should be, really, I'm going to do one more loop. And you see, I've learned over the years to put all my fingers to use. So like right here, I've got these two holding the tension for me. Yeah, that's what guitar lessons will do for you. Your piano will do it too. You learn how useful all of your fingers are. Okay. So I rarely play guitar anymore. All right. That's my loop. All right, and then this other end over here. So, and again, this is like for action shots. You could do this as, you know, the lasso is leaving the horse. You know, it can be attached to the horn, and then, you know, shooting off to the cow or whatever. So you can experiment with having this wire inside. I think I'm almost done here. So I want to just kind of sure I got that covered really well. And now there's, you know, like I said, you could have this could be attached to the horn over here, and then you can have it pointing up and going out. I don't know if you can see that. It's really hard when I'm trying to do close-ups to do, live shots. But depending upon how you have it anchored, you can then manipulate where this goes and how it looks. So that's yeah, there's one. So another way to do the wire that is, for me, is faster, is this is my braided, it's called braiding cord, but it actually is a braided cord. And so I'm going to use this, and I've already removed that center strand, it's gone. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get my wire, and I'm going to feed that through the center as a replacement for the strand I just removed. So I need to make sure I got enough. So this type of thing that I just got this stuff at a DIY. Actually, I got it at Harbor Freight. It came in a 3-pack, and I've used it for all sorts of things. It's not very pretty, so it needs to be covered, but just kind of it's just an inexpensive wire that's strong. I don't even know what the gauge is. Don't even think it came with packaging. It's just kind of like, I think for tying things in the garden, like a gardening wire for putting your making sure your vegetables are staked or are properly attached to their stakes. But anyways, because this is a tube, we should be able to, I have to see what I can do with this. I might have to get my files out and get rid of that, but I just, because I don't need any barbs, and this can be very much like a Chinese finger puzzle. So you want to see if I can. All right. So you want to make it looser, right, before you slide it on. And you can see it's got that Chinese finger puzzle look right now. It's a little bit thicker, so we're going to, I'm going to have to file that hand. Okay, so I'm making it blunt, and I'm getting rid of any burrs because it kept sticking, and I should be able to feel that with my fingers. But now that I've got that gone, we're going to show you again how to do Chinese finger puzzle. So we're going to carefully thread this on by making it a little bit thicker, or a little bit unstretched. So I want to push it to help it. So push, and then it should go on and push, and you can see it can go on relatively easy if you just feed it on there. And this is just a faster way than the other one. But if you don't have this type of, braiding cord, you can't. So I wanted to show you two ways to do this. One that's when you have, and this is not very expensive. I bought packages of it because it's like they don't always have it. So you see it and go, yeah, I'll get that. I think crafts go and they go through seasons just like clothes do. So sometimes you'll look for something, it won't be there for a few years, and then it'll come back as part of some other craft because they want to be able to find ways for you to use their stuff. But when people stop, making friendship bracelets, then they look for, what's the next thing, and can this be used in that? So that's all right. I'm not going to make you watch all of this, but I think you got an idea of what I'm doing. It still takes some time, but you can, get this to loosen up a little bit, and And then it should go on there. There. Okay. I'll be right back when this is done. Okay. So here I have it. There's wire inside, and so the first thing I want to do is I want to do the end here. And so if I have to, I can trim a little off, and we're just going to do the blunt end like we did with the other ones. And that means feeding extra over the end, and then might not be enough, so push it more. See what we got. Yeah, that's enough. So, and you could tell because it kind of goes the sideways, you can kind of tell. So now we're just gonna, this will close it up and help keep the wire inside too. So we can do that, and then like making a little clay log with your fingertips. That's all we're doing, and then kind of blunt the end. All right, so now on the other side, what I'm trying to do is stretch it so that I get as much of this length as possible. And then we're going to pretty much do the same thing here. So we're going to, except we're going to get rid of this first, this extra, and we're going to blunt the end, especially because it was, and that will help keep the, yeah, it was slightly unraveled from removing that center thing. But now we're going to make our loop, right? And we're going to make it by using pliers. And the loop I'm going to make, I want it slightly open. And then we'll go ahead and do the close. So right, we got our loop. I want to make sure it's a little bit open. And I want that to close. And then I'll go ahead and glue that piece there that was that extra, right? I'll go ahead and glue that in place. And then what did we do before? Oops. Took a little bit of this. Remove the center. And when it's got teeth, you have to do it from the front. If you do it from the side, the stuff just slides through the teeth. So that's what I'm doing. And then get rid of that. All right, so now I have this, and I'm going to do my double wrap here. Right. Now, the cool thing with this, and why I think it's a good idea to have or to make them. Okay, and then, of course, that last thing that we do here is kind of roll it. All right. So now we've got our lasso, and we can put it around a horse's neck, or I'm sorry, like a steer's neck, and bend it, and then I can make it look like it's springing back. And yeah, it really does work. And if you do rope and release, you need to have a little white flag on the end of the rope. So I would just get a piece of, white sheeting or white broadcloth, and and it would hold. If you do it right, it'll hold its shape. So, okay, so if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been working on this Western set. And so now I want to kind of show you what to do with all these pieces. So the first thing would be, you know, I talked about putting this on the horn. And you could do it a couple ways. I've seen it. But the one in particular is that I don't think my holes are big enough for this. But you would put it on the horn like that. And then the other strap too would go right on the horn. And okay, so cut that a little bigger. And then this would go on pretty much like that. And it could go on either side. And then it hangs a little bit forward. And then because it's got this little tab here, he goes, if he needs that lasso, he can just, you know, grab the tab, have the lasso, and this stays on. So that's what that's for. And it would be, you know, whatever side. If he's left-handed, it would be on this side. If he's right-handed, on the other side. You know, same thing for this one. If they're in a roping competition, they actually put a spare lasso attached to the horn, and then they, so I did these for, so it would be attached to the horn, and then they would have it actually in the breast collar, and worked where they could just grab the second lasso if they needed it. You'll see that if you look at pictures. So sometimes they have a second one, you know, as a backup that's all ready. Now we talked about these, and so you would obviously we would wrap it using a pair of pliers around the horn and make it look like it's, you know, wrapped a couple times. So, you know, we could probably add a little extra, you know, but now we have it wrapped, and I can make it look like it's being thrown, right? And then whatever length you need in order to you know, make that diorama work. So now you see how you have a lasso and it looks like it's reaching out. So 17 inches isn't going to be long enough. Probably always measure your metal or your wire first if you're going to do it. So 17 is good if it's just going to hang on the saddle. But if you're actually going to be using it for, you know, roping or whatever, the action with a wire in it, find out what length you need, and then, you know, wrap it. And it's 3 times the length. So, you know, this is kind of neat. So if I had a calf or a cow, you know, and I could have it right here so it's almost in the loop, and, you know, it looks like he's going to successfully complete that, right? And he's in a running position, so that would be correct for him. For a horse that's kind of just about stopping, you know, then you would use this one, where this would be on the cow, right? And the horse would be in a stopping position, and then this would be attached to the cow, so it would go, you know, upwards like that, and it looked like he just released it. So those are the cool things about putting doing the wire wrap. And I hope that helped you out, and I guess I'll see you next time.